Hey guys, so I figured after I did the radio on the Granturismo here, after I took that out and rebuilt that, as I was taking out panels, I was basically thinking, hey, let's go ahead and take out all the panels. Let's refinish them. Let's fix all the sticky stuff. This is a little bit more than I wanted to do. I took them off, and some of those panels that I took off literally just disintegrated in my hands. When you start taking panels off on these cars, guys, be very careful. If someone else has been in the car before and has cranked down on some of the screws in there, it's very possible you're gonna find some broken screws or broken mounts stuff in there. I found some pretty nasty surprises in mine. I used this Loctite epoxy to go ahead and start fixing some of these plastic, these mounts that were on some of the trim panels here. Let me see if I can show you. So like for example, on the radio trim, right here, I took this off and somebody tried to glue this down. Also, I found that a lot of the rivets in the back here, when I was taking stuff off, those rivets came out, or they were just spinning and I couldn't get them to come out. And they pulled right out of the plastic. So what I basically used was Loctite epoxy for plastics, basically. It works fantastic, guys, and it's a literal lifesaver. To go ahead and remove basically that rubberized coating, rubbing alcohol works. It takes forever. I've been using this. It is denatured alcohol. What I've been doing with this stuff is basically I take the parts and I go ahead and I set it in like a bin, and I dump the whole container in there and I set it in there for about 5 or so or 10 minutes at a time. Take the panels out, shake them all off, and then in some cases you can literally just use your thumb or your fingers and roll that stuff, that rubberized coating, and it will just roll off. You can also use your fingernail or a plastic scraper or something. It came off almost effortlessly. It kind of blows my mind that that stuff works as well as it does. Make sure when you guys use it that it's obviously in a well-ventilated area and you use some gloves. It's not the greatest stuff to get on your hands, and it's probably not a smart idea to be huffing fumes from that all day. Let's go ahead and see if we can refinish some of these panels here. I think I ordered some sandpaper that was like 4, 6, 8, and maybe 1,000 grit sandpaper or something like that. I'm waiting for that to come in. When that comes in, we're gonna go ahead and refinish these panels, and we're gonna go ahead and see if we can get these things taken care of. Okay, sandpaper, water, tub. May or may not have gotten that tub from somewhere in the garage and dumped some holiday things that my wife was storing. Maybe, maybe not. Let's get to work. Let's get these all refinished, and let's make these look pretty again. I'm gonna let those parts dry, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and see if I need to make a second pass, and then we'll kind of go from there. Once everything looks okay, then I feel like maybe we can probably just spray it and be done with it. Okay guys, a little early this morning, but had to go ahead and get myself some coffee. Figured I would come out here and take a look at some of the panels, see how they turned out. I've refinished them. They're not perfect, guys, but most of the stuff it seems like is pretty smooth, and I don't feel like there's any loose pieces of this rubberized coating that's gonna come off. It seems pretty good. So take a look at this. Like, for example, here's the bottom steering column trim cover. You can see where it looks like there's a little bit of stuff here, but like, I can't get that stuff to come off. It literally won't come off. I've scrubbed it with sandpaper, wet sanded, obviously hit it with denatured alcohol and everything. But it all turned out pretty good, I think. Overall, all the pieces refinished fairly well. I'm probably gonna need to wipe them down. This looks good as well, the instrument cluster trim. This was disgusting when I pulled this thing off. This was gooey, literally. You could touch it and like hair and dust and things would just stick to it. It was disgusting. Radio trim turned out pretty good. You're not gonna obviously see anything from here up, like this top upper bar, the trim around the clock and the vents. And that turned out pretty good. It turned out pretty good. Basically, there might be some plastic stuff I need to epoxy. Let me show you guys this too. Here's the one thing I noticed on the Maserati, okay? The number one thing, every panel. So look at this, for example, let me show you. You see all these little these mounts where the screws go into, okay? Right there, those. You need to look at every panel you take off and look at the side of every one of those. Because what happens is, down the side of it, it will crack. And so when you go to screw it in, it'll go and it'll break off that peg or mount where the screw goes in, and now you don't have a mounting point. And I've seen that on almost every panel I've taken off. There has been that. So someone has obviously been in this car before I got at it on a lot of these pieces. Not all of them, some of them. And tightened it way too tight. It's only supposed to be literally hand tight. You don't need to crank on these panels when you put a screwdriver to them and put everything back together. I guess the best mindset for these in my eyes, and the best advice I could give, is treat these panels like they're glass or cardboard or something that's super thin. Even though it's plastic, treat it like it's glass. Because when you go to put it in, that screw's not gonna wiggle itself out if it's in the plastic. It bites a little bit and it goes in. And yeah, I can understand, vibrations in the car or something, maybe wiggling things loose over time, but I highly doubt that's gonna happen. It feels unnatural when you screw something in to wanna, not tighten it. I get it, I understand that. But anyway, point is, be very, very careful when you start doing this. And also, like I said, get that epoxy that I mentioned earlier in the video. If you guys got questions about any of that stuff, post it in the comments below and I'll try to answer what I can. I'll put links in the description also for the stuff that I use. All that's done. I feel confident with that stuff. I'm gonna probably test spray. I'll probably do, probably the bottom cover. Probably start with that. See what it looks like, let it dry, and then kind of assess it and say, hey, did it look okay? And then we'll move on to the rest. If I need to make adjustments, we'll make adjustments. I'll go back and sand stuff. It showed up in the mail finally. So I've got 2 cans of this stuff. Right here, Sem Trim Black 39143. I made a first pass. I didn't paint this in the garage, obviously, because I don't want overspray on my cars anywhere in here, but I brought it in after I made the first pass, and here's what it looks like. It's obviously gonna need a couple more to kind of fill in some of the lines that you see there. Obviously, this stuff is pretty smooth. I sanded it fairly well, but I'm gonna give it a couple more coats, see if it pans out. Guys, this stuff is starting to look pretty good. Let me show you. Hopefully this comes out good. But as you can see, it looks pretty nice. That's a second coat. I may actually go put another coat on it. We'll see. I'm gonna let this dry for 15, 20 minutes. I'm actually very, very impressed. This is actually coming out looking really, really close to factory at this point. If everything texture-wise looks good on this thing, I'm probably gonna start with the others, but just a little tip. If you guys don't know, if you're doing this for the first time and you've never done this before, sweep back and forth when you're painting this thing. Start further back and then come slightly closer, and you'll kind of be able to see that as you do it, right? Everybody's got their own technique to doing this stuff. I've just done it that way forever. It works really well. You start far away and get closer, and you can kind of find that balance or that middle ground. I'm impressed, guys. This stuff is really, really good. So far, so good. So I'm gonna let this dry. I might hit it for a third coat, and then what I'll do is I'll move on to some of the other trim panels. I think we might start with the clock trim and just see how that looks, and we'll go from there. Guys, I'm excited. The trim panels turned out well. Take a look at these things. They look pretty good. Here's the clock trim with the vents, or where the vents are supposed to be. Instrument cluster trim. Obviously the radio trim right here. Lower part of the steering column here. I'm not as pleased with the center console trim. I'm gonna hit it with another coat of paint and see what happens, but there might be some texturing issues that are not perfect, but that could have been to some of my prep work. So same thing goes for the upper steering column trim. There's a little bit of texture issue there, and that's my fault, obviously. You know, that's just not, I didn't think it was gonna show, but obviously it did. I might try to hit that with some more paint and see what happens, and if it doesn't work out, I'll strip all the paint off and resand it and start over. Other piece of trim that is right in front of the cluster turned out okay. Overall, I'm very, very happy with how this turned out. This trim paint's amazing. Guys, I don't know where this stuff's been my entire life for interior panels, but this stuff is great. If you're looking to refinish your stuff, you're having these problems, obviously you've got all the sticky parts in the car and it's bothering you, and you've wiped them down a million times, and you're to that point where you just want to basically go ahead and take them out and refinish them. It's gonna take a little bit of labor to do it and to refinish them and everything, but once you get everything refinished, once you get it all repainted, and you reinstall it, it should look a million times better. Guys, another thing I have to do is, I took apart the AC panel. I took this off. I cleaned this off with rubbing alcohol. And one of the problems I found with it was that you can see right over here, and also you might be able to see like on the, where you turn the temperature down right here on this, it's starting to look like it's flaking a little there. I went on eBay, of all places, and I found there are decals. I ordered the decals also for these. And I think what I'm gonna do is probably start with these and disassemble this and strip the buttons entirely, and then paint them with that black satin trim paint, and then go ahead and put the decals on it and see how it looks first. If that all looks okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and do the same to this to clean this up, because this is just gonna get worse. I ended up getting the vinyl stickers, and take a look at this, guys. Here's the ones for the control panel for the AC, the climate control. I opted not to strip the buttons at this point. I think what I'm just gonna do is clean all the goo and everything off of them so that it's as clean as it's gonna get, and then basically put on these decals and see how it looks. You're gonna need something very fine, like a needle nose pliers like this or something, to take the sticker and then set it down and then just tap it so it sticks and it's set the way that you want it to be. And then what I found works best is once you've got it on there and you kind of try to smooth it out to the edges of the button, go ahead and use a hairdryer or a heat gun or whatever you've got to try to smooth out any of those bubbles or wrinkles or whatever, and it will come out looking like this. So this one is one that I just did. These are originals here. So the Sport, the Ice, and the Park Off button are originals. This is one that has the decal on it. I think it turned out pretty good. All of those came out really decent, so worth a try, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and try to do the AC control unit, and we'll see how that looks here in just a second. Here's what the AC panel looks like. I'm not exactly happy with it. I mean, I can see how this could work, but it takes a lot of time. You can see there's bubbles in there. I went through and cleaned off these switches, and this one right here, I actually just stripped all the goo off of it. The others, I put the stickers on. The stickers are fantastic. They actually do match the color of the buttons. If you are very meticulous about this and you scrub all the glue and goop off of these buttons and you get them perfectly clean and you lay these stickers on top of the buttons, and then you use like a hairdryer or like a heat gun or something to lightly go over it a little bit and then kind of push out any air bubbles and get it smooth. If you spend some time on this, it will come out clean. Okay, guys, this is not coming out the way that I wanted it. This is a can of worms I probably should not have opened, but basically, this thing is just deteriorating every few times that I touch it, pretty much. All this stuff's starting to come off the buttons. I could probably respray these, and then I could probably stick the decals on it at that point, but like this is kind of a dumpster fire. Guys, I think I'm just gonna replace the AC head unit at this point. This isn't gonna work, and these buttons are kind of cheap feeling anyway, and if I can get a digital unit that just works, then that's what I'm gonna do. Time to get these dash parts put back together and put the stuff back in the car. guys, I'm gonna cut this one a little short. I can't actually, unfortunately, reassemble the dash without replacing this right here. It's all kind of one unit when you go ahead and put it together and then stick it on the actual skeleton of the dash there. And I don't have the AC climate control stuff, so I can't really do that just yet. I'm gonna order that, we're gonna wait on that, and then I'm gonna put it all back together. I'll show you guys in another video kind of a like a finished product of this so you guys can see what it looks like all assembled. Don't worry, that's gonna be coming soon enough. I have other things I've gotta do to this car. Like I said, I still have to do the exhaust valves on the back of the, on the mufflers. I have to cut those out and replace those and re-weld in new ones. So that'll be a thing that happens eventually. Also, I have to go ahead and start the Ferrari. I have some stuff I need to start on that as well. So I think what's gonna happen is I'm gonna flip spots. Ferrari's gonna move here where the Maserati's at, and then at that point, we'll be able to go ahead and start that. But for now, guys, if you like this content and it's useful, please like and subscribe, comment. That lets me know if this is useful and you guys like this stuff. And if it isn't, let me know, I guess, you know? Otherwise, I'll catch you on the next one, guys.